Hi, welcome to another video in our Ask Chima video series. And in this video, I'll try to answer a few questions from a trader asking about the 5TT gap system. And he's got about 6 questions. Some of it I will answer on the chart, and some I will just answer because they don't need to be answered through the charts. And so one of the questions is, what time frame would you use the 5TT gap system on? The answer to that is it can be used on any time frames. But then what's my preference? My preference is to use the 5TT gap system on the daily chart or daily time frame. Now the reason for that is you have the opportunity to show up once in a day, which is great because I don't have to be stuck in front of the computer looking for opportunities. So once the daily candle closes and a new candle opens, that is the only time I will have an opportunity to show up. So once a day. So as long as I'm there at a point where that candle opens to potentially give a gap situation, once I'm there, it's just once in a day, and all I just then do throughout the day or the following days is just manage the trade. What's the average duration for the trades? Since this is my preference is to do it on a daily time frame, usually during the day, the price action in the day will cover the distance of the gap, which means that most times I do finish off in a couple of hours, say 6 hours to about a day to a couple of days. So the average duration for the trades I will say about a day, but you can go from a couple of hours to maybe 2 days, 3 days max. What kind of brokers can we use or any recommended? I don't have any special broker to recommend. I will tell you the brokers I use. I don't have anything special about them, and so I use Owanda, I use FXCM, I use AvaTrade and InstaForex. Now the difference is not necessarily in the broker, it's more in the server time of the platform, where you have in some cases the server time being 2 hours ahead of GMT or 1 hour ahead of GMT, or sometimes even some hours behind GMT. So those are the sort of things and the differences you get. But remember, the system is based on where did the current price open relative to the closing price of the previous candle. So irrespective of whether the server time is 2 hours ahead or 2 hours behind, it doesn't really matter. If it gaps, it gaps. That's what I find. The only difference is that sometimes, because of differences in servers, you might have an opportunity to show up on one brokerage account and you don't have it on another one, but it doesn't happen every time. Which pair does it trade? Any. You can use it on any currency pair. Again, it's price action. As long as you have a situation where the current open price is significantly away from the previous close price, so it doesn't matter what currency pair. Do you have this system on MyFX? In fact, I've got something better for you. If you go onto our YouTube channel, you will see me have several videos where I've actually looked at those opportunities show up on live accounts, and you can take a look at that. Okay, and more so as well with the indicator that you're asking. So depending on the indicator or the auto trading system, with the indicator you can just see it displayed all across the chart over whatever period you choose. So again, you have it live there to show you whether the concept is repeatable and how successful it's been over periods. Okay, so let's go into the charts, and I will be able to answer your first question. Now, before I answer the first question on the stop loss and target, you can see this is GBP USD daily time frame, and We're currently on the 29th of March. So the last opportunity we had on the GBP USD was around February 11th of February. So we can see there, if you're asking how repeatable and how consistent the system is, you can see clearly there. Did the gap get closed? Yes. Did the gap get closed? Yes. Did the gap get closed? Yes, just about here. Did the gap get closed here? Absolutely. Did the gap get closed here? Just, if you notice, that's really close. And on that particular candle, we had the close as well. Did the gap get closed here? Not quite, but this was 28 pips, but we would have, I'll explain this later. We would have still made money on this partially. Did the gap get closed here? Absolutely. Did it get closed here? Absolutely. Here, yes. So on and on and on and on it goes over various currency pairs. So GBP CAD, same thing. Did the gap get closed on that one? Again, not quite, but we have here a gap of 58 pips, so would have made some nice profits on this before it returned. Gap closed. Absolutely, gap closed after 2 days. Gap closed. Gap closed. Absolutely. So everywhere, most of the cases, we have very nice close of the gaps. Okay, so now to answer your first question, where you've asked if what the stop loss and take profit is on this. Now remember, the entry price on this is once the current open price or current candle opens, that's the point where we know whether we have a gap or not, and that should be the point where you go get in on the trade. So once it opens and there is a valid gap, you enter the trade. But prior to that, you would have seen where the current candle is. So let's assume that we are here and this is daily time frame. This is like 5 minutes before the end of that candle. We already know that if we have a gap up, which means we're looking to come back down. If we have a gap up, we don't have any high candle around here. So what we will do is we will go for say 40 pips, 50 pips, half of the ATR, and then wait for it to come down. But if we do have a gap down, which in this case was here, gap down, we will go for the low of this candle. We will go for the low of this candle, and that's where we will position our stop loss. However, most times I do not like to use hard stop loss around there. I know that position is there, that level is there, and what I want to have before I get out of the trade is a close below that point or a close above that point for a sell trade. Now let's look for a gap up situation. So we had a gap up here, so that candle was the candle that closed and the new one opened here, gapping up, and that means we're looking for a sell opportunity. Now before that candle closes, so 5 minutes before that candle closes, or just when that candle closes and the new one opens, we can clearly see here that we have a position where we can place our stop loss. So level of stop loss to the open price is about 64, 67 pips. So with that, we can calculate our trade size, and the target really is I take sequential profits. So once I hit 15 pips, I close 50% of my trade, and I let the other 50% run until I am at least 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And sometimes we can do more than 1-to-1, but at least 1-to-1 of the, so in this case it would have been 67 times 2, which is 134 for 2 to 1, but I go for 1 to 1, which is 67. So if we had got in here, we're looking to go 64 pips, 67 pips first, and then 134. Again, we did it. Same situation here. The entry would have been at this level here, the stop loss would have been here, and the target would have been 64 pips again. And did we get it? I would have closed 50% of the trade at 15 pips. Yes, nicely done. And yes, we did. Now this is the reason why I don't use the hard stop loss. I want to get it close below that level. So if I had the stop loss there, you can see that this candle came and pierced that level. If I had a hard stop loss there, I would have been taken out of that trade, but I need to wait for that price to close below this level to know that I'm out of that trade. And that happens everywhere. So there as well. So I would have, in this case here, we had a gap down. So my next level, low level, would have been this candle here. So that would have been a very wide. So I would have entered there, and my stop loss would have been 160 pips. Now this is, yeah, you're protecting your trade. But you can see as well that we had 15 pips closed nicely. That was 160, and eventually we had 160 as well. We had price come back down, touch that level, did not close below it, and so we continue to move to the upside. Nicely done. And so Andy, I hope this answers the question for you, but let me know if you still need any clarifications. Okay, in the meantime, if you have any questions related to this system or any other of my systems, and even any trading questions you may have, feel free to send us an email at admin@5talentstrader.com, and as well, so you can get notifications when we release these questions, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will notify you whenever we have new videos out. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button. Okay, until next time, and with the next answers to questions, I wish you a good day of trading and an awesome holiday weekend coming.